Anesthesiologists, what are the best things people have said under the gas? I had to go under for ear surgery once. I thought it'd be funny if I asked, does anyone need anything while I'm out, right before I went under. I remember it kicking in way quicker than I thought it would, so I had to take my chance while I still had it. I yelled it, but got a very confused look from everyone standing around me. Took a minute for me to realize I had accidentally yelled it while I was waking up from surgery. Oops. The human brain is truly amazing. This is my favorite story in this thread. I remember going under for wisdom teeth. It felt like 15 seconds went by. Seriously. I went under for knee surgery 3 hours, and I swear I time traveled. Remember that? That's what death is. My exact thought. It's pretty comforting honestly. My husband went under last year, and once he woke up, by our appearances he was as sober as a church mouse. Walking, asking serious questions of the doctor, apparently no issues at all. He remembered the procedure, and described it to me in detail. I figured he just never went completely under. He was craving Chinese food, and nothing would do except for buffet, so we headed down, and loaded up our first load of plates. Evidently, he actually woke up from the anesthesia at the buffet. As far as he remembers, he was put under, and woke up in front of a plate of chicken teriyaki on a stick. Okay, that's wild lol. My dad had a double knee replacement years ago, and for a week in the hospital held conversations, entertained visitors, normal as can be. Except he doesn't remember any of it. Like, at all. Between the anesthesia and painkillers, he was lit the whole time. That's not a terrible way to wake up. Last year they were knocking me out for a colonoscopy. It was the 3rd time I had been put under in a year. As such I had a curiosity. I had heard that when they knock you out you are still awake for a while, you just don't remember. So in the spirit of science I proposed a test with the anesthesiologist. When she started the medicine I would begin counting backward. When I would wake up we would compare what I remembered to what she observed. Plunge it down, 99, 98, 97. I remembered nothing more. Minutes later I awoke. The anesthesiologist espied me and came over quickly. What did you remember? She asked. 97. She began laughing. You got down to 7. I was having a broken wrist set, and the doctor told me to count from 100. He told me afterward that I got to 50, stopped for about 5 minutes, started back up and finished. I had a patient start a joke before surgery and finish it when they woke up without prompting. Changed promoting to prompting. Thanks swipe. I can just imagine it going, like what do you call a guy W a rubber toe hours later Roberto. I'm happy I made some of you laugh. What's the most important part of any good joke? Timing. IANAA, but as a 13-year-old tonsillectomy patient, the 1 Oz cocktail I drank prior to anesthesiology didn't quite knock me out. A few surgical residents wheeled me into the theater before the surgeon anesthesiologist arrived. One said to the other, his eyes just opened, "What do we do?" Another chimed in, "Talk to him." The third, not sure what to say, opened the kit and said, "Here's the blade we'll be making the incision with." Yes, a fine choice. The imagery of a surgeon presenting a scalpel the way a waiter presents a wine bottle would make for a great art piece. Here we have a lovely number 10 blade on our finest #3 handle, sterilized to perfection, that will pair exquisitely with your laparotomy today. I woke up halfway through mine. I was about 15 I think, and the doctor just looked at me and said, "Oh, you shouldn't be awake," and I gargled something. Happened today. Patient has a broken ankle fixed and was coming out of anesthesia when he was being wheeled out. The anesthesiologist accidentally hit the door frame on the way out. Patient, did you just do surgery on my leg? Anesthesiologist, yes, you had surgery and are waking up from it. Patient, then why are you running into things? Thank you for the gold and silver, strangers. Instead of giving gold, there's plenty of charities out there that could use the money. He had a valid point. I was given a relaxer prior to colonoscopy and was rolled into the room. Doctor asked me what I had done that weekend. I said I went to the MN State Fair. Oh, she says, eat anything interesting. I said, why, don't you tell me? No laughter whatever in the room. And then I was out. I swear she gave an extra shove because I half woke up during the procedure and remember groaning. No laughter whatever in the room. Oh come on, that's gold. Not an anesthesiologist, but when I severely dislocated and broke my knee I apparently gave one of the doctors that was just finishing resetting my leg a huge slap on the back and yelled it's fixed. You guys are the best doctors I've ever seen. Giving a 5-star review. Wife said the nurses were cracking up. I'm a pretty big guy and the doctor I gave the friendly pat on the back was a relatively small dude. When I had a cavity filled a few years ago, I vaguely remember hugging one of the doctors after waking up. As an added bonus, I apologized to my parents because I didn't think I could drive. I was too young to drive at the time. I went under for a nasal canal surgery, and apparently after the surgery I was holding the nurse's hand and repeating I love you, don't leave me over and over. Reminds me of that one video where a girl is under anesthesia and proposes to the male nurse. Luke, I love you. We should get married. Not an anesthesiologist, but when my stepdad was going under for a surgery, he was almost out, but at a sweet point, that the doctor told my mom she could ask him anything, and he wouldn't be able to help but answer truthfully. She asked, do you love me? My stepdad replied, you need to go on and get your little Yoda shoes. I'm pretty sure Yoda doesn't even wear shoes. Your dad is into some role playing. One with the D. Your mother is. That is a dangerous game. My brother when he came out of surgery, after being on heavy sedation wanted to draw a picture, because Yo Gabba Gabba was on, and they were drawing pictures. I gave him a pen and paper, and after 5 minutes I ask what did you draw? He smiles and holds up a picture, if a bottle of mustard. He was 17 at the time. Wow, my first silver and gold, thank you so much. As a bonus my brother also thought the blood pressure cuff they had on his arm was a pet octopus. He told us on the way home from the hospital we will need to stop at the pet store to get supplies. The mental image of that dumb post-sedation smile really makes this hilarious. Got a chuckle from me. When I was about to go out for surgery, they were strapping me down and told me it was so that I don't fall off the table. My last words were, it's okay, 5-second rule. I just laughed so hard I farted. I just had surgery this morning and I guess all I said was I love fentanyl when I woke up. When given fentanyl I responded with so this is why people abuse drugs. Nurse and husband seemed to find it amusing. I said the same thing. I said now I know why people get addicted to this stuff. It's great. No kidding. They gave me a shot of it while I was in labor and I understand why the RCMP are so excited to get that stuff off the streets now. I just remember the intensity of the relief and feeling my eyes roll back in my head as soon as the nurse gave it to me. Didn't last forever, but it was so much easier to cope with the contractions when the pain started ramping up again a few hours later. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I had to take my mom to the hospital, and while I was speaking to the doctor about her medical history, my mom was real insistent about them knowing her tennis elbow. Doctor, so is she on any medication? Mom, tennis elbow. Me, no, she's mom, tennis elbow. Me, she has tennis elbow. Doctor, I can tell. Mom, tennis elbow. I so know this. My mom is also all about making sure the doctor knows about some inconsequential thing that has nothing to do with what is actually going on. She now won't let me go with her into the room to see the doctor because I don't appreciate all the tiny details that need to be talked about. This works well for both of us. Doctor, have you been getting enough fiber? Mom, yes, and someone scratched my car. Not an anesthesiologist, but was a tech. Had a patient wake up violently. When he came to, he said, sorry, I thought I was a shark. This is my favorite one. I can't stop laughing at this one, and I have people in both stalls to the sides of me. Send help. My anesthesiologist tried to calm me down with a joke when I was a little kid being put under. My mom later told me about how I apparently commented on the joke being not at all funny and how I hoped he was more talented as a doctor. Maybe not the best thing to say to him right before as he's operating on you, lol, but savage. I was a patient. I did slightly remember the all crew laughing amidst my high, but couldn't remember why. A nurse told me this when I regained consciousness and got a hold of myself. She said when the anesthesiologist told me he was going to inject me with propofol after I was already injected with a substance he claimed was my appetizer, I yelled out Michael Jackson, me I ilk. Forgot to initially mention, I'm not an anesthesiologist. I was about to be put under for a colonoscopy while the nurse was trying to position me in a way to make it easiest for them to work. I had my knees to my chest and was passing out from the gas when I asked the nurse to paint me like one of her French girls, then passed out. Still makes me cringe. My uncle is one, and he said someone started singing Phantom of the Opera then immediately started rapping mumbled lines. He said he couldn't make out the words he was rapping and this was a teenager singing. And no, my uncle is not 1 years old, he 57. I used as one, not as in he is 1 years old. As in he is an anesthesiologist. This is actually something I supposedly said when I came out of my wisdom teeth surgery and woke up my bones feel wet. Can I have a napkin? I still wonder what I was thinking. My top comment is about my bones being wet. I love the internet. Well, your bones are wet. I just wonder how you plan to dry your bones with a single napkin. Not an anesthesiologist, but as I was going under for my shoulder recon, I realized the surgeons were blasting Back in Black by AC/DC, and I said, hey, is that AC/DC? Super confused, thought I lost the plot, and the surgeon comes over me, face mask and surgical goggles on, looks me dead in the eye and says, of course. What else are we going to rock out to while we operate? 1 second later I passed out. During my wisdom teeth surgery they were playing music, and Billie Jean comes on. I said glad Michael Jackson could join us, and that was the last thing I remember. Not an anesthesiologist, but when I was in the wear-off room after my wisdom teeth removal I started talking about dark doors and mind bees that were tearing me apart from the inside. I recall nothing. The mind bees erased your memory. Me coming to after getting wisdom teeth out, so how long until the anesthetic kicks in? Oh, your surgery is already done. Already? Man, that was fast. It's been 2 hours. Whoa, did I just time travel? I said something similar, followed by standing up and saying something I want to thank all y'all for doing such an amazing job. I was gently sat back down and proceeded to take a power nap. Not an anesthesiologist, but my husband kept telling the medical staff after his procedure that it's okay. My wife's a doctor. She knows what you're talking about. I'm a lawyer. Punctuation 2 for those asking. Yes, I do have my JD. That's why I found it so funny. I do have a doctorate, but I'm not that kind of doctor. I definitely didn't understand what the medical doctors were talking about. Husband listening ability 5, 10. Before I went in for hernia surgery, a medical student came in and asked if I had any questions. I replied yes. Why would you have me shave my entire body, eyebrows and all for a hernia repair? She looked terrified and asked who specifically told me to do this. I have alopecia universalis, no hair anywhere, gotta have some fun with it. No anesthesia at this point. Not an anesthesiologist, but when I was going under for a surgery, my anesthesiologist asked what I wanted to eat after this surgery, and apparently I said a steak with peanut butter. He laughed and said, "Where do you get those steaks?" What was that? A crossover meal? With a special guest appearance by Vicodin. Not an anesthesiologist, but I knew a guy who had surgery and afterwards wanted to go home. He wasn't recovered enough to, and the nurse wasn't gonna let him get up yet. He turned to the nurse and said, "You may not realize this, but I'm a ninja, and we heal 3 times faster than normal people." At that the nurse stopped trying to keep him in bed. He stood and immediately ate the floor. I had a patient coming out of anesthesia who opened his eyes as I was switching him from a mask to nasal cannula tell me this hospital has the most beautiful women I've ever seen. Made me blush. I was so flattered, and made the rest of my day awkward with my coworkers teasing me about it. Whoever you are, sleepy man, I simultaneously thank you and hate you. Not an anesthesiologist, but when I hot my wisdom teeth out, and they put the 4th in, I swore then passed out. When I woke up, I asked for my mom to bring my stuffed toy seal. Yes, I brought him for moral support. His name is Jerry and I sang a song about my seal. I remember none of it, but my mom took a video of my performance. Thanks so much for the awards and comments. I'm glad you all love Jerry. My lungs feel like jellyfish. I think I meant legs, but who can be sure lol. And here we are, with a different sort of tooth pain. I lost it. I think I had a pleasant time when I was high. That's always nice. I'm so glad I'm with it. Yes, you are. So with it.